Hello, everyone. Krone Essence Ka here. And I want to say hello and welcome to Talking with Essence Ka, Krone Essence Ka, excuse me. There's a lot I want to talk about in this episode. So we're just going to kind of get started. There's a lot going on right now. I will tell you that the main topic and focus of this episode is the lunar eclipse coming up on the 18th, 19th of November 2021, and how it ties into everything that's currently going on within our collective reality system. So before we get started, just for those of you who may not know who I am or know anything about me yet, let me go ahead and introduce myself a little bit. I am Krone Essence Ka. I am one of 3 Krones of the International Coalition of Krones. I'm actually the founder of the International Coalition of Krones. I am a spiritual growth guide and awakening facilitator. I do a lot of different types of work, but I'm going to say, for the purposes of this talk, what I want to let you know about me more than anything is that as a part of my sacred contractual work in this lifetime, it is very much my work to bring ancient future knowledge back into the collective consciousness field of humanity, of Earth at this time as we travel this journey together. I also want to let you know you're going to hear a lot of paper rustling probably as we go through this podcast, because I've got a lot of notes. There's a lot of information I'm going to try to share as concisely as possible, just so that we know what's going on. I myself, once again, a little bit more about me. In this lifetime, I have been consciously and intentionally on this awakening journey for 45 years plus now. So I've been around a day or two, I guess you could say. And we're just going to leave it at that. If you are interested in learning more about me and the things that I offer, even services and stuff that I offer, which does include Akashic Record readings. I'm an Akashic Record access guide, past, future life regressionist, master Metatronic numerologist, a lot of different things. You can go to my website and find me there. That is, my website is shambhalanewearth.com. There'll be a link in the podcast write-up. You can also find me on YouTube under my channel is Krone Essence Ka. You can find a lot of information there. Okay, and of course on Facebook and all the other social media places that we all tend to gather up together. Okay, where to begin? I think we're going to begin with, I want to share once again, for more detailed information about the topics that I'm going to touch on in this podcast, I highly suggest probably going to my YouTube channel and finding the playlist titled ATKI, and watching and listening to those, what we call ATKI chats. And those began back in May of 2020. All right, we all know right now that there is literally, with like tomorrow night coming up very quickly, a lunar eclipse that is significant. And I'm going to talk about all the ways that it plays into what we're going through, even related to this global pandemic right now, okay, and where that came from. So I guess maybe let's start there. As I've explained before, this global pandemic, it was a subconscious choice as a collective. That's the way we're going to state that, okay? That we made to have literally our very first truly global societal experience, okay? A true collective experience. In other words, affects everyone and everything on the planet. This is the very first time this has happened for this collective, all right? And it is a part of the expansion of consciousness and the continued awakening journey that this collective is on. Now, from the work that I do, okay, and I do want this stated that what I am sharing is my part of the puzzle. I am by no stretch of the imagination saying this is all of it, or, you know, I'm the only puzzle piece that matters, because that is simply not true. There are hundreds, thousands, tens of thousands of individuals out there right now, all playing their part, sharing information, sharing knowledge. I do suggest you use discernment, even with what I'm sharing. If it resonates with you, take what resonates with you and leave the rest of it. Because in all honesty, in the long run, does it really matter, all of this information that I'm sharing? The answer to that question is yes and no. It matters from my perspective, it matters to me because it is my sacred contractual work. It is a part of what I came into this lifetime saying that I would do and play and be a part of this collective experience. Okay. It matters to others who find it, who are drawn to it, who resonate with it, in the sense that it's information that hopefully all or in part resonates with them and answers questions for them so that they can better be of service to the collective consciousness of humanity and even to our galactic family as we travel this journey. So to a lot of people, this doesn't matter at all. And that's okay. That is absolutely okay. It's not everything. There is no one thing that is meant to matter and be important to every person on this planet. So take what resonates with you, leave the rest, and continue with your sacred contractual work. All right. So we manifested this pandemic for the experience of it, okay, to bring us together, to make us start to really see, look, we are just one. We're one planet, okay? And if we don't learn to work together, we're going to be in a lot of trouble. I'm going to say all these things very simply because there's a lot of information. And believe you me, I'm only sharing tiny bits of information that I have access to, because it can be overwhelming and just gets too tedious. That is why I said, if you're interested in more detailed information, go to my YouTube channel and search it out there. Mostly in the chats, or at least in the playlist listed IKOK. All right, 17.8 ATKI. What is a 17.8 ATKI? Okay, the 17, like I said, I'm a master Metatronic numerologist. 17.8 ATKI is a collective karmic imbalance. It belongs, so just as each of us here individually have karmic imbalances that we create and bring with us in and out of lifetimes as we flow through this cosmic journey, okay, so do any collective consciousnesses. And the collective consciousness of humanity is but a single collective consciousness. And therefore, it has, as the individual, it is, or we are as a collective, has its own collective journey. And one of the things that we are currently dealing with is what I call a 17.8 ATKI. ATKI stands for Atlantian Technology Karmic Imbalance. This is a collective karmic imbalance that we created, as you might gather, that from what transpired in Atlantis that led to what we know as the fall of Atlantis. Okay, because in so many ways, like I said, I'm stating a lot of this very simplified, but that's okay. It's a starting point. In so many ways, you can see the collective consciousness of humanity as we currently exist as the reincarnation of the collective consciousness that existed in Atlantis. All right. So we created this collective karma by the misuse and abuse of technology, mundane technology and sacred technology. All right. That's the 17.8 ATKI. I'm going to get a little bit of more back information here. All right. So the 17.8 ATKI came up and was actually introduced into our collective energy field in 2014. And from there, it just kept getting stronger and stronger until by about beginning in 2018, sometime it started getting really serious. By 2019, it was like, okay, there's no longer a choice. It's here. Now, I want it to be understood too, though, that this is not a punishment. This is actually the fact that we are experiencing this 17.8 ATKI coming up so strongly is actually because we have made such massive forward movement in collective awakening and this on this spiritual journey. So, you know, it's kind of a almost feels like an oxymoron, but the truth of the matter is we actually earned the right to deal with this at this level and to have a chance to get it rebalanced, to move on and past it. Because until we do, we're not really going anywhere as a collective in this journey. We've kind of hit a wall, if you will. Okay, this has to be taken care of, you know, before we can move forward as a collective in major ways. Okay. So what this 17.8 ATKI did, because it's so strong, we said, well, okay, we need to have some type of experience. We're going to use this. We're going to utilize it. And long story short, without going into a lot of, you know, minutia, all right, we began a collective dark night of the soul. Now, this began on July 22nd of 2020. This collective dark night of the soul did. According to information that I have shared, just, you know, to be used for our benefit, once again, okay, in understanding and better understanding, because when we better understand what's going on, one, it's a lot easier, if nothing else, to let go of fear and trepidation and anxiety. That doesn't mean it's not, you know, we don't have all those things kind of playing on us as the human we are. But when we move into the wider perspective of the spiritual being that we are, that understands reality as much more than just this physical reality, it becomes easier when we understand these more expansive bits of knowledge and information about what is really going on. So this collective dark night of the soul began on July 22nd of 2020. And I talk about the first part of it, the very first stage of it, if you will, okay, that I call the 777 days of tears. Now that began on July 22nd of 2020, okay, with the collective dark night of the soul beginning. And it peaks. I want this really understood. Please really pay attention here. I'm not saying it's over. I'm saying it peaks. Okay. This first stage of this collective dark night of the soul peaks set after 777 days on around September 7th of 2022. Now, once again, these dates, remember, nothing is set in stone. These are not lines drawn in the sand that you step across and things like that. They are postmarks along the way to give us more knowledge and information. We can also glean a lot of frequency information from things like this, and that's where this all comes from. All of this is my work related to the use of Metatronic numerology. I'll talk about more Metatronic numerology in more detail in other podcasts. Okay, now within this 777 days of tears, this first stage of our collective dark night of the soul, there are what I call 3 phases, and they're actually just broken up. It's that 777 days broken up into 3 equal portions. Well, so the first one began on July 22nd of 2020, and it ended, phase one, what I call phase one, ended sometime early in April of 2021, so of this year. So phase one ended and phase two began. Now, where we're at now, here in November, in mid-November of 2021, we are extremely close to the end of phase two and the beginning of phase three, which by our postmarks, if you will, okay, phase two ends and phase three begins at the December solstice of 2021. So here we're starting to see how this lunar eclipse, all right, is going to start tying in. Phase one, I've talked about, and like I said, go to YouTube, find the ATKI chats related to the 777 days of tears to get a lot more detailed information. But phase one was tough. You know, that was all the lockdown stuff, you know, that we've all went through. Phase two has been, in a lot of ways, even tougher, but in a very different way. And the fear factor, the anxiety, all of these things have amped up, okay, in different ways. And phase three is going to get even tougher. All right. And phase three, remember, is going to run from, basically stated, the December solstice, so the end of December of 2021, to the first part, actually September 7th, okay, of 2022, when this first section, this first part of the collective dark night of the soul peaks. Now, just so that you understand what I'm talking about here, what is going to, so you'll say, what is going to occur when we peak then? Okay, well, what is going to occur when we peak next in September of 2022 is going to be very much determined by the decisions that we've already made and are continuing to make as a collective about where we're headed. Okay, why is this work with the 17 ATKI, okay, this Atlantian Technology Karmic Imbalance, so important that we decided to manifest something this extreme just to get our attention, just to make us set up and take notice and say, okay, guys, we got to do this together. There's no, okay, we have to do this together if we're going in. Why is it so important? Well, it's so important, and I've talked about this before several times, actually. A lot of this is recap just to bring you up to date, all right, and to remind you what is going on because it's so much information. Where we are at now, and I started talking about this, I know at least sometime in 2019, possibly even late 2018, but I'm going to say 2019 sometime. We are, as a collective, we are coming up on a major, excuse me, node point, what I call a major node point. Okay, we're cycling back around, and we are in the process, which officially, if I can use that term, that word, began in 2020, where we're going to take somewhere between 20 and 50 years we have, okay, from 2020, to make a collective decision about what reality, collective reality timeline we're going to choose to travel for the next 13,000 plus years. I'm hesitating here just to let that sink in a minute, okay? This is long-term work, folks. This is long-term work, okay? So it's very important. It's very important. All right. Remember, we all know why we're here. We're here to work. All right. All right. Now let me see. What information do I want to share next? I want to share that. Okay. I'm hearing this. I want to share that in so many ways, everything that we are in the middle of right now goes back to just for recent, okay, times. It goes back much farther than this in so many ways. We can make the connections literally all the way back to Atlantis, but we're going to stay within this current time frame where we physically exist right now. Goes back to a very significant point of August of 1987. That was harmonic convergence. The initial harmonic convergence was in August of 1987. I want to say the 15, 16, don't, maybe a little off on that, but it's real close there, okay? What that was, harmonic convergence of 1987, was when, as a collective and as awakened star seeds, light workers, we're going to go ahead and use those terms, okay? We stood up and we said to our galactic family, we said, okay, there's enough of us here now, awakened, at least to a point that we are ready to step up and take on more conscious responsibility for the co-creation of our collective reality. Now, this not only means our collective reality of humanity, it means our collective reality of Earth and our galactic collective reality. Fast forward to 2020. 2020 is the year, I've talked about this, that our descendants will look back upon, and because we will be our descendants manifest, okay, at 2020 and go, that's when we began our journey to become galactic citizens, physically galactic citizens, okay? Right. December of 2019, let's go back to that. December of 2019 at the 12/21/19. So the December solstice of 2019. I've done, actually, this would be a program that I did before the IKOK was started, when I was still working with Kira Myrna. And we talked about this. This would have been early December 2019, I do believe. If you're interested and you can't find it, message me. There's ways, you know, I can help you find it. Okay. In December of 2019, we have access every December, okay? We have access, it's like a portal anniversary, if you will, what is known as the 333 Stargate Portal, all right? In 2019, basically stated, we were on a pathway. As a collective, we were on a pathway forward. We had done so much work, all right? And we were moving forward just like unimpeded almost. I know that seems kind of crazy, you know, to think about it that way, but energetically, because remember, you know, I work in the energetic realms. Energetically, we had done so much work. We were really making fast forward movement. And what happened is I used the term shadow side forces of light. Okay, because remember, we exist in a realm of duality. Remember, this is just those whose sacred contractual work it truly is to be what is known as the chaos frequency in a realm of duality. I'm not going to go into all of this right now. I'm just stating this simply for this information share. But in December of 2019, we were on this pathway forward. And because the shadow side forces of light, it is their sacred contractual work. It is their job, truly, to try to impede, halt, or completely stop and reverse the forward movement of the consciousness expansion of humanity. Okay, so I'm not getting into a lot of details. This is not conspiracy theory. I want to state that right now. This is simply energy work. This is simply how things flow within a realm of duality. It's a part of the energetics of co-creation in the realm of duality. Remember, form and formlessness arise together. One cannot exist without the other. So instead of going through the 333 portal, which was what we were supposed to do, okay, which is what we do every year. Remember, this is a yearly annual cyclic event, okay, for our collective. There was what I termed the 333 party door. So this was a doorway that the shadow side forces of light, like I use the analogy of put a neon sign over, said, enter here, party, 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 yay, here's the party, enter here. And those bright neon lights covered up, if you will, made it harder to see, okay, the true doorway of the 333 moving forward. And therefore, the collective chose to enter that doorway. And the visual that I always get with this is the pathway we were on was straightforward, and the doorway that we were meant to go through was the 333 that was straight in front of us. But then came these glaring lights and everything, and this 333 party door was off. It veered to the left. It veered us to the left, which is a counterclockwise circle, okay, bringing us back into the same portion of reality we had just exited. But it also can be used to take us into other. So more simply stated, it set us on a different collective reality timeline. This reality timeline is one that I was shown actually on September 13th of 2018. It's one I have come to call the HDR, or the HD reality. I'm not going to go into a lot of detail about that, but let's state it this way. This is a reality that, believe you me, we do not want to travel for the next 13,000 years. It is dark. It is ugly. It is loss of freedom. It is all of those things that are the deep, dark abyss of the 17.8 ATKI, and will lead to, and was the same energy, let's put it that way, that led to what we know as the fall of Atlantis. That's the reality timeline. As a collective, we are currently traveling. Okay, now let's come forward to now and here with this eclipse and what's coming up. Let's see, I'm looking at my notes here. We're going to forego this at the moment. Okay, let's look at this. This partial lunar eclipse that's coming up on November 18, 19. Okay, and that's because everything is based on UTC time, and therefore it straddles the time dates. Okay, this lunar eclipse is a partial, but it is so close to total that it's actually more accurate to call it a near total lunar eclipse. It's 99.1% total. And just for the record, the overall length from the penumbral start to finish lasts 6 hours and 2 minutes. This eclipse, an eclipse like this, that is this long, okay, will have an effect, and exert energetic effects upon our collective for the next 1,000 years. You see how important this is? The last time there was a lunar eclipse in our reality system, okay, that was this, like this one, was on February 18th of 1440. And the next one won't occur until February 8th of 2669. That's over 600 years into our future. And I'm going to state this right here. Remember, I said that on September 13th of 2018, I was shown about what I call the HDR or the HD reality. I was actually taken into that reality system and shown why it is we do not want to go there. Okay, which is the path, which is the collective timeline we're on. So we've got to get off this timeline. And it is exactly 600 years into the future. So this next time we will have an eclipse this powerful, affecting and exerting this much energy on our collective, will be over 600, over 1,000 years from now. Way deep into, if we stay on this timeline, what I call HDR. All right. Excuse me, I'm looking at my notes to see kind of where we want to go next. All right, on May 26th, I'm just going to start reading some information here because I don't want this podcast to get way long. On May 26th of 2021, during another total lunar eclipse, okay, well, I shouldn't say another because remember, this one is not a total lunar eclipse. That's, you can, if you look at it, you can see the correlation because it's so close. It's literally called a near total lunar eclipse. And look at the comparison to that and the 333 party door. Think about that. May 26, 2021, during a total lunar eclipse, we experienced a major anchor point on a personal level. Now, this is for each of us personally, okay? During that eclipse, our focus needed to be on holding a clear vision energetically, emotionally, and rationally for what we wanted our personal life path and spiritual growth opportunity experiences to be and look like for the next 10 to 12 and a half years. That decision process will complete either consciously or subconsciously. So in other words, we're either doing this work consciously, or we're just, at the mercy of it, you could say. By and on the Scorpio full moon on May 16th, 2022. All right, that just wanted to share that information. There are three things, okay? So let's take a look at real quick. What are some things we can do personally to be of service to the collective? All right. There are three most powerful things we can do to assist in the rebalancing of the 17.8 ATKI, because that's really important that we get that done individually and collectively. Is one, rebalance our personal Atlantean karma. In other words, karma that we created during any and all Atlantean lifetimes, but especially those most closely associated with the time we know in Atlantis as the fall, right? Two, get our physical bodies in the most optimal condition possible. And this is because when we understand that our physical biological form, our body, okay, our spiritual biological form, our physical body, is the most powerful sacred tool of creation we possess, this makes so much sense. Think about what is going on in global society right now with this pandemic. This also explains why the shadow side forces of light want to insist upon control of the physical bodies of all individuals in our global society, because our physical bodies are literally creation tools of reality. 3, study sacred geometry in all forms, energetic, sacred geometric forms, shapes created by so many techniques are vital. And it's vital we remember things like cymatics, sacred movement. Sacred movement here, I'm talking about things such as Tai Chi, Qigong, yoga, sacred dance, all of these things, sacred movement. Mantras, physical and energetic diets, and so much more. Okay. Remember, we are the key. Literally, our physical bodies are the key. Our emotional, mental, physical, and spiritual states, our emotional, mental, and spiritual states, okay, literally manifest our physical bodies. And our physical bodies are the most powerful sacred tool. They're really the only sacred tool we need to create and manifest realities. And they are key. I know I keep saying that word key, but I'm going to get to why here in just a minute. All right. Sorry, looking at my notes again. Give me just a moment. Okay, we're going to go with this. These are some things, these are some of the, just part of the points of why this December solstice that's coming up is so important. And believe you me, this lunar eclipse and the solar eclipse that's coming up on the 4th of December are directly connected into this. And they lead and they create a connections directly to, and I haven't really talked about this yet, but what we really need to be focusing and conscious about is the Scorpio full moon on May 16th of 2022, because that is when the annual planetary crown chakra opens. And when it opens every year, that is when information for the evolutionary pathway for all of humanity, for Earth, for all life on Earth, and for the immortals connected to Earth is released for the next lunar cycle. So the evolution of consciousness is what I'm talking about. It goes from Scorpio moon. So when that planetary crown chakra opens, this is why we're doing all of this. This is what this is all about. This is why I'm sharing this information to say, okay, let's get this wider perspective. Let's understand what's really going on. Let's get our focus back on track. Okay? Because when we get to May of 2022, it's going to be boom, there it is. That's a major, major point in the decision of getting us opportunity, okay, opportunity to get off of this HD reality timeline that's leading us into this darkness that we don't want to have to travel for the next 13,000 plus years. So some of the things that are occurring literally on December 21st, we've got the solstice, okay? 12/21/12 it's the 9th year anniversary of the collective shift into 5D from 12/21/12 to 12/21/21, okay? It's the start of phase 3 of the 777 days of tears of the collective dark night of the soul. It is also, if you remember, okay, it is the first anniversary of the opening of the dawning of the age of Aquarius. That happened on December 21st of 2020. Now remember, the dawning of the age of Aquarius is not the same as entering into the age of Aquarius. It is also, this December solstice of this year is also where we started a 200 linear year process known as the age of neonosis, which is the first 200 linear years of the dawning of the age of Aquarius. How long we sit as a collective in this, you can kind of see it as like the foyer, if you will, the entrance into the age of Aquarius. How long we have to sit in that foyer, okay, of the dawning of the age of Aquarius is dependent on decisions that we make. And we're not going into, I'll just be perfectly honest, we're not going into the age of Aquarius on the HD reality timeline we're currently on. We're not even on the correct timeline, really. Okay, we still have opportunity, but we're not on it. Okay. The age of Neonosis is a 200 linear year time. Now remember, nothing's set in stone. It's not a mark in the sand. These are, ways of seeing this. Okay, massive amounts of ancient future knowledge. We have this time. It's a time of study. It's a time of integrity, and it's a time we have for massive amounts of study to re-access ancient future knowledge that we need to enter into the age of Aquarius. There's a whole lot more. But we're just going to leave it at that for just right there. That December solstice is major. And this lunar eclipse is just leading up to that. It's also connected to what I know as, and part of my work, I'm also known as a multi-dimensional galactic activation master. Okay, so part of my sacred, what that means is, in simple terms, is part of my sacred contractual work is to see, access, understand, and share information and lead. In 2020, we started a 20-year period of multiple activations of portals and planetary chakras and planetary transpersonal chakras and all kinds of work that has to take place once again for us to be able to access the age of Aquarius and move forward into becoming galactic beings. And when I say galactic beings, what I mean by that, because people are, okay, what do you mean by that? What I mean by that is literally, physically, we began traveling, okay, in ships, in physical ships, physically traveling through first our solar system and then expanding out until we're traveling through our entire galaxy, until we eventually will be traveling through multiple galaxies and then multiple dimensions. It's where it all began, 2020. I know it doesn't look like it right now, but if we do the work, if we do what we came here to do, okay, are we going to see all of this in our single lifetime? No. Let's be realistic. No, this is an infinite and eternal journey. We'll be back. We will be back. That's another reason we kind of like, if nothing else, self-preservation. Think of from that perspective. Okay. But there's also what is known as the 444-2222 dual Stargate Portal that was opened in February of 2020, actually on February 22nd of 2020. What that is, it is a dual Stargate time travel portal. It is a multidimensional time travel portal that within that 444-2222 dual Stargate portal, we can have access to an infinite number of reality timelines that we can choose to travel as a collective. Okay, we've just got to learn to access it. I have located one. And I'll be talking about that in a minute. And it's related to this work. It's related to this lunar eclipse, what's coming up. It's related to everything I've been talking about. All right. And going to that Scorpio full moon. Okay. Now let's see. All right, I'm going to go ahead and share this. On November 28th of this year, November 28th of 2021, I'm going to begin, and I'll share information about it, more detailed information about how we're going to do it, how you can be a part of it and all that kind of stuff. But I'm going to introduce 24 days of work from November 28th to December 21st. All right. That is going to be focused specifically on accessing, I think would be the best term to use here, the key to the doorway of, and please forgive my pronunciation, it's probably not correct, but I'll do the best I can, the doorway of Sahasrara, of everyday enlightenment. This doorway will be accessible to us on May 16th, 2022, during the 90 minutes of exact alignment of the Scorpio full moon, based on UTC time, which is when the annual opening of the planetary crown chakra occurs. It is imperative we access and facilitate the I'm going to say it this way, unlocking of this doorway, or actually finding the key to this time travel portal, because as things currently stand, this is our best chance of quickly making necessary changes in our collective reality, influencing global society to see, awaken to, and choose to get off of the collective timeline we are currently traveling. And it has become obvious to most individuals, even those caught in the grip of the energy of fear, those that, we even term unawakened, that where we are headed as a global society and as a collective consciousness is into a reality of darkness we really do not want to have to journey through, especially for the next 13,000 plus years. Those of us who see and understand a vaster perspective of reality can now, or are at least beginning to see, that we are headed to a repeat of what led to what we call the fall of Atlantis. And we know, in that sense of deep inner knowing, this has occurred within this collective reality experience numerous times, and is not something we want to experience again. We do not want to repeat this journey. There is, I'm looking for something, here it is. Well, excuse me, I thought I'd found it. Right now, because I'm getting ready to wind this down. I know that I've thrown a lot of information at you. I got just a little bit more, but I want to go ahead and wind this down. We can talk some more about some of this in detail more. Oh, here, before I forget, because I didn't go on, some more of these things that are connected to this lunar eclipse and everything, that ties in together with this December solstice, and where we're moving forward. Other things that it's work on planetary transpersonal, which are collective chakras, the planetary soul star chakra, the planetary earth star chakra, the planetary zeal chakra, what is known as the Emerald Core, the Dragon's Gate, which involves movement from the reality systems of Leo, from Leo Sirius to Virgo Spica, and so much more. Currently, you could say we are dreaming reality into being. We're always dreaming reality into being. That is why so many Aboriginal cultures across the planet actually use terms like dream time or dreaming into dreaming reality. We're not going to go into that. Y'all probably understand most of that. But I want to share this. We are dreaming reality into existence. What we're doing right now as a collective, okay? When we should be bringing reality into being, into manifest form through mindfulness, through mindful meditation, through intention, through conscious work, and not just as a handful of individuals. I'm talking about as a collective. we have to get closer to, let's just say, bringing reality into being through mindfulness. The key to the door, to the locked doorway into the realm of the Nagyan. Nagyan is the Lemuria word for immortals. Okay. That is found deep within the crown chakra. It's found within the planetary crown chakra. And that is what we are going to have opportunity to access for a very short window of time during the planetary crown chakra opening on May 16th of 2022. The strongest, clearest points of access are literally 90 minutes from exact, okay, full moon right there. Oh, and by the way, there's a true total lunar eclipse with that full moon. I ran into some stuff I'll just have to talk about earlier because I really need to finish this podcast up that blew my mind today. And it's all related to this 333 party door that I said we went through. Let me share this. When we walked through as a collective, what I call the 333 party door on December 21st of 2019, okay, basically when we stepped onto this timeline we are currently within, think of it this way, okay, this is what happened. We were headed forward December 2019, okay. Most of us had never even heard the word coronavirus or pandemic or any of this, okay. We stepped through as a collective that party door, that false doorway, if you will, for, lack of a better term in the moment. And literally within hours, this pandemic hit our reality. We stepped into it. We chose to, as a collective, step into it. All right, just a few more things, and then we're going to call this good. It's right here written. The true mark we need to focus on is the Scorpio full moon of May 16th, 2022, the annual planetary crown chakra opening. Oh, and for the record, I didn't get into a lot of detail on that solar eclipse that's coming up on the 4th. But you know what? I looked at it, and amazingly so, it has a direct connection to Lemuria. In some ways, you can see and understand what is being placed before our eye, our inner vision, is this near total lunar eclipse is illuminating the false doorways, the doorways that will lead us deeper and deeper into the abyss of this collective dark night of the soul we are currently in. The doorways associated with the 333 party door portal we stepped into in December of 2019. The solar eclipse of December 4th, 2021 will illuminate. It will shine light on the pathway we seek, the pathway leading us to the access point in May of 2022, when we can find the doorway of Sahasrara, marked Theta, Delta, Zeta, within the annual planetary crown chakra opening, the doorway to everyday enlightenment. This is the last thing I would like to share with you. This was actually we'll just go with it. To choose to follow the path of reawakening and remembrance is a choice not to be taken lightly. To choose to step upon this path is to choose having your eyes open to truth, the truth that lies beyond the veil of the projected illusion called reality. For whatever amount of time you like, your entire current lifetime, if you so desire, you can choose to walk ever so gingerly along the veil's edge, experiencing only what takes you to the perimeter of the area of your personal comfort, yet never forces you to step beyond that boundary. But know this, if you choose to dare step upon this path, and if you choose to take seriously this path's journey, and do not allow yourself to be impeded in your quest to see and know truth as exists beyond the veil, you will be tested in your resolve. You will be cracked open and laid bare, fully exposed to yourself. And at times, you will be flung so far past the boundary of your comfort, you will truly wonder if you should have ever stepped foot upon this path. But when this occurs, it will be too late. For once you have seen this far beyond the veil of illusion, you cannot ever step back behind it. You cannot unsee and unknow what has been exposed to your mind, your sight, and to your heart. So take not lightly choices and commitments to following this path of reawakening and remembrance. Do not be fooled as to what vows will be required of you if your intention is to see truth in its entirety. For if that be your heart's truest desire, you will eventually be given what you seek. For me, this choice I made long ago. For 'twas one I made at the sacred ceremonies held during the time known as the Great Cosmic Gathering, in a space where linear time began and was then measured still in eons. The time so far past, it has long become forgotten by most minds in this universe. A time most mortals know not even still exists. This is a journey of a collective. This is a journey of a cosmos. Until we talk again, thank you for joining me. Good night.